So in this video, I want to tell you about the idea, how it came about, and also the progress of the book, how I worked on it, and then also about National Novel Writing Month. So the idea for change started somewhere around 2004 or 2005 maybe. My dad came home from work one afternoon, and he works in a factory in Marshalltown, Iowa. He comes home one day and he shows me a nickel, just like this one, except a lot older. It was a nickel he got out of the vending machine, and he was excited to show me this when he gets home. And I'm like, Dad, what's so special about this? As he hands it to me, he says, look, it was minted in 1942. I just thought it was neat. And sure enough, I'm looking at it like, yeah, that is pretty cool. Don't see that every day. Just a regular old nickel, pretty much the same, but aged, a bit worn and tarnished. Might have had a scratch on it, but essentially the same as it's been, when it was minted, just aged. And it's still serving the same purpose, just an ordinary object with a distinct purpose, something we might see and use every day, every one of us. But yet it's something we don't likely think much about, just when we're exchanging money. And so it was at that point, almost immediately, the idea for this story was born. It came to my head. I just started thinking about everything that happened from 1942 up to that day when my dad showed me that coin. World War II, the 1950s, JFK, the moon landing, Vietnam, Watergate, Ronald Reagan, the 80s, the Challenger disaster. Then came the Clinton years and, the roaring tech days of the 90s, then 9/11 and war in the Middle East, and now our current unrest and still even more advances in technology. It's just amazing, how things change, and really what is a short span of time, at least on the world timeline, and that of humanity itself. But also at the same time, same token, it's also a lengthy period of time when you think about those 70 years, especially in the span of an individual life. So it's these various levels and perspectives of time that I set out to capture in the idea for the story. It just remained an idea in my head there for a year or two, doing nothing with it. And then in 2006, I moved to Nebraska to attend Nebraska Christian College to major in their Christian Thought and Humanities program, which was a study of literature, art, and history from a Christian worldview. Now, I wasn't able to graduate there, but it was there as part of a class assignment where I finally began to work on pockets of time, finally getting something on paper. That was very good. And as it often happens, life sort of just got busy and got away from me, and I had to leave school for basically financial reasons. But in that time, when I started working as a courier, and in that time I was driving around the area making deliveries, I really had, long periods of my day to listen to the radio, songs that would further inspire me, give me ideas for this book. And a lot of talk radio as well, and hearing different voices out there, different perspectives from different walks of life that played into some of the ideas. And also, people that I would meet daily during my deliveries. I took bits and pieces of those personalities and those individual stories that I got in my own travels and incorporated them into the pockets of time as well. But I just wasn't able to devote myself during that time when I was really working hard to completing the story that I had started just a year or two before. So from about 2007 to 2013, the story just sat. I'd work on it here and there. I even started over a time or two, but nothing much really got done with it. And just being a creative type, someone that's always liked to write, it just finds a joy in writing, getting my ideas out there on paper. It was just frustrating in those years not being able to really put my mind to it and having this grand vision in my head, but not having it on paper. But during that time, some great things also happened. My wife and I got married. I was able to complete my bachelor's degree online through Bellevue University, in our leadership program. And studying leadership through Bellevue was fascinating for me because there I got to read so many case studies of individual Americans, great people in our history. And again, more of that I was able to incorporate into this work as well. It was also through the Bellevue University Kirkpatrick series where I did a study on the concept of American exceptionalism. And that's also one of the themes that I really wanted to have in the Pockets of Time. So that's in there. Right after graduating from Bellevue University, I began working in the Nebraska legislature in a state senator's office in 2011. And that's still my daily job today. And working in the legislature, once again, real life experience of my own, I was able to take even more and put that into the story. Hearing about, issues on the national level and state level and real people out there, what they're dealing with, I was able to incorporate that into the book as well. So I've taken a lot of inspiration from my work and my own experiences. So fast forward now to 2013. My wife and I find out that our first child is on the way. Very exciting. So over that entire summer, just preparing for our first child, and I just kept thinking that, wow, my life is going to change so much, no doubt about it. And let me tell you, before I go further, becoming a parent, being a dad, has just been so awesome, and just one of the greatest feelings ever. I got a beautiful little daughter, and I've always said the thing I look forward to in life, to my parents, is just one day being able to play catch in the backyard with a baseball with my children, like my dad taught me. So I'm looking forward to that moment. My wife and I are blessed with a beautiful little girl. Our daughter was born December 2013. Wonderful Christmas present. And as I was saying before that, just thinking over that summer how my life was going to change and figure out being a parent, my little free time that I did have would likely be even less now that I'd be a parent. So I figured, I really need to get this idea, this story out on paper. So that's why I really started thinking about completing the Pockets of Time. And that's where National Novel Writing Month comes into play. It's a NaNoWriMo, as it's often referred to. It's a challenge that takes place each November, where the challenge is write 50,000 words over the 30 days in November. So I sat down about a week before November in 2013 and decided this was the way I would make myself get this project done, the first draft. And so I started to sit down, plan, and organize, and on November 1st I started typing away, and I completed the National Novel Writing Month Challenge, one of the many winners of that. And what I did, I completely started the story over from where I had originally started, and the couple restarts from there. I started over from scratch with National Novel Writing Month, and just forcing myself to type daily. Boy, the ideas just came out in a flurry. Everything just seemed to really flow, and the daily progress just fed that inner creativity and that desire to complete the story. And I did. I don't know how many people win that, thousands maybe out of the tens of thousands that do it every year, I don't know. I completed close to 62,000 words that November. So now obviously writing that much and that fast, you really aren't thinking and editing as you go. The challenge is simply to get the words on the paper. So that's really where I'm at right now. I'm returning to this after 2 years. I have this finished manuscript, but now I need to fix a few things. I need to edit it. I also need to find, another eyes to edit it. Professional edit would be great. I need to validate some of the history, especially some of the daily things, decade-specific. Make sure those match up, my story, with what actually happened that time that's going on in the story. I just haven't had the time to really do that in the past 2 years, and now I'm in a spot where I can start to work on this again and finally get the story, the Pockets of Time, out to the public. If you go to my Indiegogo page, you can see how to help me with this, and in the next video I'll go over those different funding levels in detail. Thanks a lot.